not forget to subscribe, click that bell, like, comment, and share. Now let's go again on this innovative. There's twice the challenge when it compares to a man. What is innovative in the first place? Innovative is about using the mind, using the brain. They said there is the left and right portion of our brain. The left portion is meant to be a logical thinker, and the right person is the creative thinking. I'm actually very happy, or I am laughing at this picture because there's wrong spelling, meaning because the right side is more artistic in nature. The left is more of the analytic in nature. But what type of brain are we using when it comes to thinking? They say that even women think that men are more creative. Therefore, women themselves discriminates themselves. No? According to a Harvard review, they said that this is attributable to the fact that a lot of us are dwelling on masculinity as a more superior gender. Another thing is that if you consider yourself a scientist, can you really cross the border and jump into that side of being an entrepreneur? They said that most scientists remain to be in the laboratory because these people cannot handle business. In other words, there are XX challenges that women faces. It's basically stereotyping. And again, it's a stigma that is passed on from one generation to another generation. There is a need for an empowered women to empower a fellow women and stop stereotyping and stop the generational passing on of the stigma. Again, women technopreneurship is a journey. And I'd like to show you my journey, my personal journey. At certain point in time, maybe you will graduate from college, or some of you might be in the trade, but you get employment. During your course of employment, there is a big motivation, something that will push you to be on your own, to be a startup, to be a technopreneur. While you consider that, there's still a long journey to go on in the future. And you know, the lines are becoming more thicker because the drive and the responsibility and the type of challenge is becoming bigger. Along the way, there is a big gravity. You have a loss of, what are this gravity? Some forces might be you're lacking the resources to further on with your startup, or your startup is not hitting the market. In other words, at this point in time, your technology will just die. It will just go to the graveyard. But if you just work on the right support, or you get the right support, you can practically go to a more steeper hill. No, ito yung pinakamahirap akyatin. Going towards the ultimate star. But what is my journey? how am I able to proceed on this road? First, we have our inborn talents. You have to capitalize on that. You have to develop skills, something that is not inborn, but you can have it based on your different exposures or engagements. You have your degree, capitalize on your degree. Example, if I'm a civil engineer, of course, I would like to solve problems in the industry where I belong, such as construction. Find licenses, certifications, study more about the technology so that you have the teeth and everybody knows that you are well versed on that technology. Use your wisdom in order to identify the type of technology or product or process that you want, or to put up your startup tech company. It can be first start putting up a company, then the product, or product first, then the company. It can be anything. But in my case, it's technology first. When I know I had the technology, that's the time I have to put up the company. I have to look for angels. Angels will be the first source or initial investors, small funds. Then I need an industry partner. I source for this industry that will help me beautify or convert my formulation into a commercial grade product. Then I have a grant from the Department of Science and Technology. Why? Because I will die. This is the stage when the gravity is so big. And this is called the Valley of Death. There are grants and some funding opportunities that will save you from the graveyard. I need to have my pilot projects. And when I was asked, how are you able to get your pilot projects? Again, these are angels. Typically, companies don't want to be the first one. So in other words, you have to be very persuasive so that there'd be people who would agree to use or to be the first user of your product. I work with mentors or consultants because I don't know everything. So I have to be sure that I am working with people who knows the technology better than me. Then I have the bigger technology adapters where I could further test my technology. And now a postgraduate. Why? Because learning doesn't stop. If you think that there's still something missing, then you still have to continue learning. Then while I'm doing everything, I started to have recognition. And the most recent are the two national awards that gives me recognition, both in my deep technology and in my creative designs. When I was thinking about why are these things happening to me and why is God giving this to me, that's the time I have to dig deeper and come up with my advocacy. Now, the steeper hill is even harder, more difficult. That is finding the big investor that will not get full out of being a scientist. You know, investors thought that scientists are what? Are selfish. They said you have the technology, but we have the money. So how can scientists and these investors meet halfway? We need global presence. I wanted to be a unicorn. A unicorn is somebody who's valuated at 1 billion US dollars. Do we have a unicorn in the Philippines? We used to have one unicorn, Robbie Antonio, but he had a very big scandal in the beginning of 2021. And just recently, IPO will release that this foreign company that is operating in the Philippines called Task Us is now the new unicorn in the Philippines. Philippines is becoming very behind in terms of the number of unicorns being produced. And of course, if you're a unicorn, you have no choice but to work on philanthropic life and thus a legacy. All the yellows are so hard, and these are the things that I am looking up. But when the first time I share my journey, I was invited by the Asian Institute of Management to share my journey. And as I am telling them how I trudge my life on a typical flow of life, they said that my journey validates the content of the books that they are teaching to their students. And from that day on, I start preaching and sharing my journey. This is, of course, to inspire as many women as possible. And as a woman, I could say, I myself experienced a gender gap. And when I am on a demo, product demo, and they will see that I'm a woman, they are twice as much amazed. I don't know why. Maybe because they look at women as second standard citizen. That's why they are twice as much amazed. Now, empowerment is a process of transform and engage. This transform and engage is my way of documenting my journey. My polite journey is a story of empowerment and gender equality, especially so when I adopted the award given to me as the first recipient of Malasakit Award in the Philippines. Now I use compassion, both as a branding and as an advocacy, and especially as a woman, as a feminine genius. First, I use science, technology, and engineering as my tool. Then, followed with the creatives. In short, guys, to empower you as women, you in the engineering field or in the tech field, dwell on design. Because design is one way of empowering us. And lastly, there is no other way to be competitive but through innovation. And I want to touch more on that.